Okay, next question is at microphone number 1.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We have Mr. Paul. I'm so sorry.
Paul Herman.
Paul Herman from Brisbane. I apologise, sir.
G'day. I'm not sure if it's morning or afternoon, but g'day to everybody here. My concern is the property market has been very strong over the last 20 years or so. I was living on the Mornington Peninsula during the 90s, and I remember quite a severe property downturn then. I know that the stock market, especially in America and perhaps to a lesser extent in Australia, has been very strong. If there is a bear market in the stock market and that flows through to the property market, and if there's a downturn similar to perhaps to the global financial crisis, I'm concerned about the stability of ANZ Bank. My concern specifically is about liar loans. I've mentioned them before at other AGMs, and I want to just go over a few points there. So ANZ had 55% liar loans in the UBS survey in 2001. To give people a definition of liar loans, it's where the information has been falsified. So very often income has been inflated. So in 2001, UBS found that 81% of ANZ customers with liar loans said that ANZ employees told them to falsify their information. I think that that's a real concern. There's been, I think, 6 UBS surveys. They have produced similar results. I'm concerned in a downturn that would affect the stability of the whole banking industry. ANZ regularly comes up highest, except for 1 year, comes up the highest, having the highest rate of liar loans. I know that defaults at the moment are quite low, but if there is a severe downturn, I would be very concerned about the stability of the ANZ Bank. In the global financial crisis, the banks had to go to the government for support, and I'm certainly concerned about these issues.
Thank you. Thank you. Look, a good question, an important question, and I might share the answer with Shane. If I just start at the macro level, I think it's important to reassure everybody that Australian banks, in terms of their requirements to hold capital, are among the most secure globally. We use a measure called CET1, and if you adjust that for international comparison, then the Australian banks are holding a lot of capital compared to their exposures relative to other banks internationally. And whilst we will groan and complain about that, that's also a tribute to the strong regulatory environment and to the actions of APRA over the years to make sure that Australian banks are very safe. If you have a look at credit ratings, I think there are 7 banks in one of the credit rating agencies that are rated the top tier. 4 of those 7 are Australian. And that tells you again the strength of the Australian system. I think there's a view that some of the results of that survey are not borne out by our reality or our findings in practice. Shane, did you want to talk about that and also how we look at anybody who's wanting to borrow from us?
Sure. So thanks for the question, Paul. Put simply, we don't just take what people tell us. Yeah, we don't just assume that what they tell us is right, and it's not that we doubt people's integrity. People don't always remember exactly what their household expenses are or their perfect income, etc. Not everybody remembers those things perfectly well. And under regulation and our policy, we have to verify those numbers. So it's not just, we don't just take what people put in their application. Our responsibility is to verify. So we look into their bank statements, we get evidence that those numbers are correct. And then the other thing we do is we sort of haircut a lot of those things. So we discount incomes, we add numbers to their expenses, we check against indices, etc., etc., etc. So there's a pretty robust process that we go through that our regulator looks at as well, and that's what we take comfort from. I would also point out that the vast, vast bulk of Australians, not just at ANZ, at any of the banks, when they go and borrow for the home loan, they don't borrow as much as they could. So most people do not max out on their total borrowing. They actually borrow quite conservatively. And what you've found over time, Australians and New Zealanders for that matter, are quite conservative. And so when we look at our book today, and because of the strong house price movement in particular, you also look at things like the loan to value ratio. So how much have we lent versus the value of a home? And if we valued all the homes today versus the amount we have out, on average, people have got borrowed less than half of the value of their home. So there's a lot of security in systems and process to ensure that we're verifying what people tell us, and we're pretty comfortable about the quality of our loan book. And to Paul's point, the overall structure of our balance sheet, the huge amount of capital we hold against all of these loans, and of course the security as well.
Okay, I guess I've got a few concerns. One of them is that in my case, an ANZ employee inflated my income by 625%. So that was on one loan. I had a number of loans. It ranged between 285%. My income was inflated. Without my knowledge, after I signed my application forms. So they...
So can I jump in there? Because
Yeah.
I mean, this is not the right place, to be fair to you or to be fair to the bank,
Yeah.
to look at individual cases.
No, look, I understand
Evelyn
that.
Hall, who's our customer advocate,
Yeah.
is actually available outside and can follow up. And look, it does sound like a very distressing experience, so I don't want to diminish it, but
Yeah.
I just think it's better off being handled offline.
Okay, so I guess my issue is that one of the issues is that I run a support group for people with difficulties with, it's called ANZ Unhappy Customers, and another support group which is Bank Rip-Offs Customer Support Group. So my concern is that there was a lot of people who had their documents fraudulently altered, in some cases signatures forged, so they had their signatures forged. And now with the UBS surveys, there's it seems to be that there's a change of tact, because UBS found that 81% of customers said that bank employees, ANZ Bank staff, told them to falsify their loan application forms. That's a concern.
So look, there's clearly been some distressing experiences for people. I just want to be clear though as well and say we are very diligent in how we assess things, and so you would expect me to say that I won't necessarily endorse or agree with those comments, but I hear them,
Yeah.
and if there are specific examples, I think the best thing to do is to raise them with Evelyn, and we can follow up on those.
Yeah, I'm quite happy to do that. I feel that ANZ is not taking this issue seriously. So I've actually spoken to parliamentarians, MPs and senators about getting a Senate inquiry into liar loans. And, you know, if ANZ, if it's a falsification by UBS, which is, you know, a big Swedish bank, look, somebody's not telling the truth, I feel, that is it ANZ or is it UBS? I have my experience, and I have the experience of people who've come to the support group with their stories, and, you know, really tragic stories.
Look,
Yeah.
I can hear the frustration in your voice, and I can hear the disappointment. It's not something I'm going to be able to resolve
Yeah.
in the meeting for you. I think if there are specific examples, bring them to us and we can look at them. And in general, there is absolutely no incentive for us to encourage people to falsify these things, because ultimately it's going to be a bad credit risk for us, to your point.
Well, it helps you to gain market share, and I agree with you. It would
It's
be
futile.
very risky.
Yeah, that's what comes in the front door just goes out the back door as a loss. So there's absolutely no point in anybody booking that sort of fraudulently developed documents. And I just want to stress, we have a lot of controls and a lot of
Yeah.
focus on preventing it. But if you've got specific examples, raise them with us and we'll have a look at it.
Yeah. Okay, I mean, the ANZ was fined $10 million for this sort of activity. It was where there was, that was in a couple of years ago. So it certainly is an issue, and I'm very concerned that ANZ take it seriously.
I think you're talking about the Home Loan Introducer Program?
That's right.
Yes, so
yes,
that was a
yeah.
2017-2018 program.
Yeah.
We had 2 unlicensed third parties. There was 50 home loan applications that we identified and 4 staff. We obviously took action and enforced accountability. And indeed, the Customer Fairness Advisor, which is the equivalent of Evelyn today, undertook a comprehensive review to have a look at any of the failings in our controls there and in our systems. So yeah, we take these issues very, very seriously. Thank you.